Today I've got a really practical one. 5 ways that you can change your relationship with selling. It already, as I say, selling may feel heavy. It may make you feel like, I don't like doing that. I don't want to do that. I'm not a typical or a advanced seller. You might have all of these things coming up. But equally, if you want to grow in your business, if you want to welcome more money into your business, you've got to understand how you can sell yourself and your products and your services in a way that feels really good. And this is what I want to do. I want to help you to build that lovely relationship with selling so it becomes natural, it becomes part of the process, it just becomes something that you do and really build this habit. Because I want to assure you that if you do something regularly, consistently, after a while, it will become second nature. After a while, the voices in your head of, I don't like selling, whatever's going on, will start to quieten down. And instead, your brain will go into action of like, what do I need to do today in terms of selling? And you'll immediately go into that creative, practical, let's get this done. And all of the emotion won't be there. So if you want to pause this video right now and run away and think, no, I can't do that. Please, I promise you, I've got you and I can help you. Just see if you can stay in the room. I remember going to my first hot yoga class and having all of that stuff of like, well, I'm very ginger and I'm very pale and I'm not great with the heat. And I've done a bit of yoga, but not much. And I've not done it in the heat. And my first teacher of hot yoga, who is one of my best friends now, 14, 15 years later, said to me, just stay in the room. Just stay in the room if you can. If you can stay in the room, do that. And that might mean you laying down flat on your mat and not doing any of the yoga. Just stay in the room and see if you can do that. And as soon as I did that, I quietened everything down and I relaxed into it and I focused on what I needed to do. So the first thing I've touched on slightly, I want you to listen to your first response when we talk about selling. And what relationship do you have with that selling self version? So you already might have an image, an idea of what a good salesperson is like, or an effective salesperson, or just the door-to-door person, somebody in a shiny suit. Maybe they were a bit smarmy and sleazy and, would do a lot of, I want you to think about that image in your head, because the truth of it is that you get to do this in a way that feels really good to you. And I recently overheard this conversation of somebody talking about the fact that she couldn't cook. And she was going on and on and on. And she was really owning that identity of herself. I can't cook. I can never cook. I'll never learn to cook. I'm not one of those people who can cook. She reframed this phrase in so many different ways. And because I didn't want to show how much I was listening in, I wanted to say to her, you can cook. You just might have to give it a go. You might have to build the habit. You might have to learn. You might have to quieten down that version of whatever you think a great cook is and do your own version. Maybe that person was thinking about a great cook being somebody who's like, hi, I just rustled up these sausage rolls and I've created this 4-tiered wedding cake. Yes, they may not be that kind of cook, but to make something that is on a stove rather than in a microwave, that could be a small jump. That could be something that they could do. So I first want you to examine what that story is about selling. And I want you to give yourself that full permission that you can do this in a way that feels really good to you. Number 2, I want you to bring to the surface all of your stuff around selling. Now, you may automatically go to the negative And that's great, because that's when we can see all our shadows and the sticky bits and the blocks and the stops. But also, if you have positive stories, feel free to bring those as well. I want you to think about all of that stickiness, that time where somebody sold something to you and then you got it home and you were like, I wish I hadn't bought this. Why have I bought this thing? Or that time where you felt like you were going to have FOMO, so you paid for the ticket and actually you didn't need the thing. Or maybe you bought something and it just didn't deliver. Maybe you felt wronged in a purchase or a relationship with someone, whatever it might be. Bring all of that to the table and literally like take it out of your body, out of your head, and get rid of it. Put it on a piece of paper, because then we know what we're dealing with. Number 3, how do you think that selling has to be done? And I remember when I first started in the online space, everybody had one of those countdown timers. And my website didn't allow for me to have a countdown timer. And I got so stuck of like, well, how am I going to do this? I haven't got the countdown timer. And then I thought, well, why can't I just let people pay any time? And why can't I just sell in a different way? Why can't I just sell on a workshop and then put the workshop out there and then people can come and buy it if they want to? And another block that I had was around Facebook ads. It felt so complicated. It felt so risky. All I was hearing back in the day was like, you have to have thousands and thousands of pounds, which may not even work, to see if you can get traction in your business. And immediately I got so consumed with all of that. So I had to take a step back and say, if I could sell, what would I do? If I could sell in a way that felt really great to me, what would I choose? I would always choose putting out content and showing what I could do and giving people an idea of my flavor. And those people who wanted it and were ready to purchase could come and have a chat with me. Over the last 25 years, that is all how my business has come, pretty much. Let's have a chat. Or let's have a chat by me putting up a sales page and somebody goes, yeah, I'm going to buy that. That sounds really good. But it's come from me. I want you to reframe all of those sales stories. And again, give yourself that permission. You can do this in a different kind of way. Number 4, when we're talking about selling, inevitably there's going to be a price. An investment of some kind, whether that's price or time or focus or things like that. So often people price based on what somebody else has told them they should do. And whether that's inadvertently, as in like, well, I read this book and somebody said in year 5 of your business, you should be doing this. Or the sales strategy of always having a 7 and a 9 at the end of your pricing. We carry so many of the things, but actually all you need to do in terms of pricing is to work out the price that you can hold authentically and share that number. To come up with a price that feels so good and in alignment with your body, and therefore it's going to translate in that way. So I can do a little test with you right now. I want you to think about one of your products or your services and what you charge for that. And I want you to say the price aloud. So what do you charge? Say it back to me. How much is your service? What I've got X number to spend. What can I buy from you from that? Can I buy an hour of your time? How much would you charge? I want you to notice what happens in your body when we begin to talk about pricing. Is it smooth? Is it easy? Is there something in the background of like, oh my goodness, this is really cheap for what I'm offering. I need to up this price. Or is there a slight hesitation? When you're saying something aloud, you're like, ooh, I don't know if somebody will actually pay that though. Or I hope they don't think I'm too expensive. I want you to notice all of those things. Because when you land on that price for you that feels in alignment, Yes, it might feel a bit sticky because your old self is saying, I'm not great at selling. But after a while, you will be able to hold that. You'll be able to hold that price in your body. And so to do the test and take it a step further, I want you to think about your relationship with your price and then just play around. What would happen if you doubled it? Can you say that price aloud? How does that feel? What would happen if you tripled it? What would happen if you added 10%? What would happen if you sold it for half of that price? How would that feel in your body? I want you to notice it all. And you will be doing that as a consumer all the time. For example, you might sit down and look at a menu and go, how much for a steak? Oh my goodness, a steak, that's £39, and then you have to pay for extra chips and sauce on the side. It's just £39 for the thing. But then if you went to, I don't know, a business launch or a business event, and suddenly you had a steak on your plate, and you're like, I love this steak, it tastes delicious, then it's not a question of whether you like it or not. It's what you feel comfortable in terms of paying for it. And that's the situation with selling as well. We can just pluck numbers out, or we can just listen to somebody and go, somebody said that I had to triple my prices, so I stuck it on my website. But unless you're in that relationship with it, you're not going to sell it. I mean, you might as a fluke, but consistently and to be able to hold that, you're not. Number 5, I want you to focus on what you are giving and not what you are taking. And even if you're just starting out and you have no data, no information, maybe you don't have that many clients, maybe you haven't been doing this for very long, I want you to lean on what I'm about to share with you, because this is relevant for any kind of industry. Sometimes when we ask people for money, we feel like we are taking money from people. That money that is in their bank account, we're suddenly extracting it and leaving them with a smaller amount. That's where our mind might go, especially if they're an empath. And to stay focused on that simple transaction is not the whole story. So this reframe is about not taking the money, as in I've taken it and now it's done and that's the end. This is an opportunity for this client, this person, this customer to put that money into something that will grow and grow and grow. So if we imagine it like a seed, and if I was the gardener and I was saying, right, just give me the money for the seeds, and it would stop there. In fact, the way that I'm thinking is if you give me money for the seeds, I'm going to help you position them, nurture them, grow them in the best possible way. So those seeds produce flowers and blossom and all kinds of great produce that you're looking for. And so if you get stuck in any of these blocks in terms of your selling, I don't want you to just try and put them away and just go, oh, I always feel like this. Oh, why do I feel like this? Really bring it to the table with grace and compassion and ask yourself, I wonder where these things come from. I wonder how I have got myself in this situation again. Really investigate your process. If you want to work on your selling, if you want to sell more, if you want to make more money, come on over to Create Your Income Pie. There is a whole section on that and I would love to help and support you. And there are 3 ways to do it. Equally, if you want to book a one-on-one session with me and focus solely on selling and work through your strategy, you can go to the sessions section on my website. All the details of how we can work one-on-one is there.